Welcome to the NCDWI Guy podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI Guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 188 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. On today's episode, we are talking about death. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is about time to get morbid. Sorry if this is ruining your glorious cup of coffee as you're driving down the road, or if you are exercising, driving from one courthouse to the next, whatever it might be that you're doing as you're listening. If you were expecting a podcast about excitement, then you've actually come to the right place. So we're going to talk about death. And why is that important? Well, few episodes back on episode 180, The Impossible Dream, we talked about goal setting. Talked about setting goals as we were going into quarter number 4 of this year, which we are now in the last month of quarter number 4. As you bring this episode up, October, November, check mark by both of those. We got 32 days left in the quarter at this point. 32 days left in the year. Make it a strong finish. But as we look ahead into 2024, episode 180 talked about goal setting going into 2024, into the new year. And we want to set up a game-changing 2024. We want to set up a Everest level 2024. And I think that the best way to do that, if you really want to make 2024 a special year, if you really want to have 2024 be a year of 10x growth mentally, spiritually, physically, if you really want to have 2024 be a year where there was a gigantic leap forward in your personal and or professional development, you need to be thinking about death. And that is because we're not going to be here forever, right? I'm 38 years old. I'm going to be 39 in 2024. The big 40 is looming on the horizon on my end, but for each of us, we don't know our years, right? We don't know the number of days that we have left. And there's a couple of quotes. This is from Marcus Aurelius. A couple quotes that I want to start out with. This one is from Marcus Aurelius. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Here's the second quote on death from Benjamin Franklin. Many people die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. Many people die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. That is sad but true. Extremely sad but true. When we picture ourselves, if you take some time to actually sit down and think about the fact that you are going to die, 100% likelihood that you are going to die. The weathermen are going to get this guess correct in terms of how many people that they come into contact with are going to die. The forecast is extremely clear. Death is coming. Tomorrow, 5 years down the road, 55 years down the road, whenever it might be, it is coming with certainty. And it's important to dwell on that fact regularly, to keep that front and center, because it's only when we recognize that our lives can have purpose. that we can get our priorities right. You constantly hear this reflection that people sitting on their deathbed don't worry about how much money they have made, right? People on their deathbed don't worry about how much money they've made. What do they care about? They care about relationships, right? They care about the relationships. They care about the people that are around them in that moment, the relationships they've had in the past. They dwell on regrets, right? They offer forgiveness for past grudges that have been held. They think back maybe about their legacy and the impact that they've left behind, the meaning and purpose of their life. If it's a person of faith, maybe they are thinking about the next life. As Thomas More, the patron saint of lawyers, says, earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. So maybe it's a moment of spiritual challenge. They think about unfulfilled dreams and aspirations. Maybe there's a moment or reflections of gratitude that happen in that space when you know that death is at the door. Some people might approach it with acceptance and peace of my journey is at an end, right? So there's all of these different things that might be running through our minds on our deathbed. But the real truth, the sad truth, is that there's not a lot of people that have that deathbed experience. Whether it's because it's too short a window, too late, or because there's no warning. Somebody has a stroke, somebody gets into a car accident. They're never offered that opportunity. So you have to live regularly on your deathbed. You've got to create your deathbed now, because you don't want your deathbed when it's too late to change anything. You don't want to just be grateful, in all honesty, on your deathbed and not have had that moment of reflection before. So we have to put ourselves on the deathbed. Now, when we do that, and in light of being on the deathbed, here is the question that I pose to you. I want you to do this reflection. I want you to picture yourself. Picture yourself in old age, right? Sitting in your bedroom at that time. Maybe it's the house that you're living in currently. Maybe you can imagine some future house that you're hoping to live in, right? Begin the experiment. Put yourself in that bedroom with the knowledge that your final days on this earth are coming. Now, who is in that room with you? Who's in that room? Picture their faces. Think about the age that they would be in that situation. If you've got kids, these are grown children now at this point. Maybe your grandkids are in there. Who is with you in that room? What is your state of mind going into the great beyond, right? In my space, as you're preparing to leave this life and enter into eternal life, what is on your mind? What are you thinking? Now, let's assume that this deathbed no longer is in that. Take a minute, pause the podcast, really think through that. Take a minute to think through that space, the smells, the people. Now imagine a second scenario. Imagine that you are sitting on your deathbed next week. You just got into a terrible car accident. You suffered tremendous internal bleeding, complications have arisen. They've attempted multiple surgeries, but you've been told that the end is near. You need to call a priest. You need to call your loved ones, whoever it is that is needs to be in this room right now. They've got to be in there immediately because the time has come to say goodbye. Right? And obviously in that trauma, there's a very different situation, right? So spend some time thinking about that. Think about the grief that your current family, friends, parents maybe would be going through, sitting there in that room. Two very different situations, right? And we don't know which one, if either, that we would be experiencing. It's probably going to be neither of those situations. We don't know when death is coming. But if we can get into the habit of regularly putting ourselves into the deathbed, the things that are most important in our lives are going to rise to the top. Now, I think most of us lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves, and it's a little white lie. We don't think it's going to hurt anybody. We don't think it's going to hurt us. But we say, I know that death is coming, but it's not going to come tomorrow. Right? Maybe even you can be more realistic than that. It's not going to come today, right? Don't think that I'm going to die today. And maybe it's not even a lie. Maybe that's more of just a probability situation, right? It's likely that I'm not going to die today. Likely that I'm not going to die tomorrow. But we tell ourselves, we eliminate the possibility that we are going to die in 2024. That we're going to die before the end of the year. Well, as you set your goals going into 2024, as you set your personal and your professional goals going into 2024, I want you to imagine that 2024 is the last year that you walk on this planet. Imagine that this year, 2024, this coming year, is the year of lasts. The last summer that you're going to get to experience. The last Thanksgiving that you're going to get to experience. All of these different things that we go through on this kind of like repetitive journey where we just expect, it's going to be like this next time around, right? Imagine 2024 is your last year on earth. And then set down what you'd want to do if you had that knowledge. Now, there's a balance for us, right? Because maybe if we actually knew that with certainty, then there would be certain things maybe that we would spend money on that we don't because it's a low probability, right? Maybe there are certain places that we would visit if we knew it was our last year on earth versus if it was just a low probability that it is our last year on earth. But as you go into 2024, and I would say this is particularly true in the personal goal side of things. For your personal goals, you got to come up with an Everest level goal going into 2024. If this was your last year to leave your mark on this planet, what would that goal look like? What would be your Everest level goal going into 2024? And we talked about this a little bit back again on episode 180. But you got to really visualize that. What adventure do you want to set out on? What life adventure has been put down at the bottom of the barrel that is being saved for some future 25 plus years down the road date? What is the relationship that has taken a back seat that if you knew this was going to be your last year on earth, you would say, man, I really should have spent more time with that person or with those people? If this was your last year on earth and you'd always had a dream to accomplish this particular hobby, learn a particular language, visit a particular location, which of those things rises to the top? Because maybe we couldn't accomplish our entire bucket list that we have in 2024, but what occupies a place of highest priority? What is our Everest, such that our mind would be changed forever if we were able to accomplish this particular goal, that we could leave a legacy by accomplishing this particular goal, that we could impact other people's lives immensely if we were able to accomplish this Everest level goal? You have to really envision that. Now, at Minnick Law, because our core values are remembered by the acronym SMILE, we use SMILE also in goal setting. SMILE, S for specific, M for measurable, I for important, L for limited, E for engaging, right? So specific and measurable. All goals need to get set with specific and measurable criteria. As Mel Gibson says in The Patriot, aim small, miss small, right? Specific and measurable. We want something that we can say, was that accomplished? If our Everest level goal is, man, I would like to improve my relationship with my wife. I would like to improve my relationship with my kid or my children. I like to improve, my relationship with this particular family member or friend. I'd like to run a marathon. I'd like to learn Spanish. I'd like to, maybe your number one personal goal is professional. I'd like to double my client base. I'd like to improve the lives of my team members, my employees, whatever your goal is. If it's just that kind of big picture level goal, it's not going to get accomplished. You got to know when the target is hit. Specific, measurable. Running a marathon, that's measurable. Learning Spanish, even that's probably not measurable, right? Because that's not hold a conversation in Spanish, read at least one novel in Spanish. That's a measurable goal, right? If we just have learned Spanish, that could mean any array of things. It could mean, finishing the first 10 courses of a Rosetta Stone class, or the first 10 lessons. We got to be specific and measurable. It's got to be limited. Well, we've got our limit, 2024, right? But in setting an Everest level goal in the SMILE acronym, it's the I and the E that are the most important in setting the Everest level goal. Is it important? Is it engaging? These are the two most important goals. Because I think sometimes we set specific and measurable and time-limited goals, but we forget the I and the E, which is, are these goals life-changing? I think sometimes in our goal setting, we can set ourselves up for success. Let me set a goal that I believe I could hit? What about setting a goal that really is going to be a challenge, that really may be difficult, that we actually might fail at, but one that is important and engaging enough to be life-changing should we be successful at it? If you're on your deathbed, if you're sitting on your deathbed and you have one goal, one thing that is of highest priority in 2024, you've got to get this right. This is your last chance to hit it. What is that thing? Really think about it. Put yourself in the deathbed situation, first of all, because I think it's easy to set goals that sound exciting, that sound like maybe other people would think that those would be interesting things, but that aren't really important to us in particular. Think about that thing that would be truly impactful in your life if you were to hit it, knowing that you are not going to see 2025. Figure out what that goal is, and then get extremely detailed in figuring out how you are going to accomplish that goal. The devil is in the details when it comes to accomplishing Everest level goals. It's all well and good to dream big and to have these visions of what is important and to set big goals. But we don't want those dreams to just stay that way. We've got to achieve the dream in order to have that life-changing impact. So I challenge you in 2024. In 2024, set an Everest level goal. And I ask you to announce that goal to the world. Announce it on social media. Announce it to your family and friends. Let people know what that goal is. And people are going to be like, okay, well, Jake's off his rocker. He is clearly just feeling that, January 1st, hey, I'm going to set my New Year's resolutions and that's going to be the end of it. But announce it. Announce that this goal is going to become a reality, and then document your journey. Whether that is through journaling, through some sort of, even just for yourself, vlogging, creating some sort of reflections that you could later look back on. Document the process for achieving that goal. Write down the game plan. Share the game plan that you've written down. Look for accountability partners. I think we're leaving a lot on the table because we aren't laying down in bed. We aren't laying down in the deathbed that is 100% guaranteed coming to us. At some point, today, tomorrow, 10 years down the road, 60 years down the road, I'm planning to be 150. So just so you guys know where the bar is set. But at some point down the road, I'm going to be 6 feet underground. My body is going to be 6 feet underground. I believe my soul will be at some point reunited with the glorified body. Don't know what that exactly looks like, but I believe that eternal life is coming. But life on this earth, as we know it, is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. Embrace that reality. Set goals in 2024 accordingly. Look forward to speaking with you again next time.